Harry Potter.
Oh, Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Harry Potter. Harry Potter. Harry Potter.
And the Half Drunk Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Harry Potter and the Half Drunk Podcast. I'm Sam.
And I'm Emily.
And we are thrilled to bring you some content this week talking about old Flitwick, old filibuster. Can't wait to get in and talk about Professor Phileas Flitwick. But before we do, we're going to catch up a little bit and talk about our drink of the week.
Yes. So our drink of the week is actually inspired by Flitwick himself, because he basically ordered this drink at the Three Broomsticks in Prisoner of Azkaban. Cherry syrup, soda, ice, and an umbrella was his order, which we all know as a Shirley Temple. So we are drinking a Dirty Shirley.
Yeah, essentially a Shirley Temple with the grenadine, cherry syrup, lime, however you make your Shirley Temple, but
yes, but our
vodka.
recipe is 2 ounces of vodka, 1 ounce of grenadine, 4 ounces of lemon lime soda or Sprite, and maraschino cherries and a lime wheel for garnish. And if you're feeling fun, an umbrella in honor of Flitwick. And the instructions are: add the vodka and the grenadine to a tall glass with ice, top with the lemon lime soda, and garnish with the maraschino cherries and lime wheel and a little umbrella if desired. It's extremely sweet. Shirley Temples are so sweet. Although every time I drink a Shirley Temple now, I think of that kid on Instagram that reviews Shirley Temples. And he's like the cutest little thing, but he takes his Shirley Temples so seriously.
I don't know this. You're going to have to share this link.
Yeah, I'll share it. So I'll share it on Instagram after we share the episode for the week. But he's really cute.
Amazing. And I, when I was little, loved Shirley Temple, the person. I would watch her movies and show whenever I was younger at my grandma's house. So it took me a long time to put together that a Shirley Temple was non-alcoholic because of being named after Shirley Temple and her being a child. Longer than I would care to admit. And I was like, but wait, I thought a Shirley Temple was alcoholic the entire time I heard about it. So yeah, it's fine. It's good. I like it with vodka. It took it a little bit easy on the vodka, but because I'm trying to cut back a little bit. I think I've said before, trying to be a more responsible adult and only drink on the weekends now, but we are in luck that it is Sunday. So yeah, life update before we get in. Anything you want to talk about?
Not a whole lot. This week's just been busy with work, but other than that, just kind of chilling. I'm getting excited for the holidays. I bought your Christmas present today. I ordered it. So I am very, very excited about that.
Yay.
And yeah, I just started Christmas shopping, which for me is like I'm late in my game.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I know. Usually I'm done by November. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I actually sent you a gift on, I guess that was Saturday morning. It doesn't have to be a Christmas present. It can be a Christmas present if you want. It's not wrapped. I just saw it and sent it to you, but I actually sent it to your in-laws' house because I don't have your new address, so you're going to have to send me that at some point. Okay. But that will be there for you soon. But yeah, busy with work. Obviously, I'm super excited to only have to go to work 3 days this week, and then I'm leaving for New York on Wednesday and gonna be in New York through Thanksgiving, coming back the Friday after, so super excited about that. I'm also gonna be in Boston for a couple days. I've never been to Boston, so I'm super excited. And if anybody has any to-dos, must-sees, must-eats in Boston, hit me up. Help a girl out, because I literally have no fucking idea. I'm like, just gonna take the train and see what happens.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be good. I've got a lot of stuff planned in New York. It's my boyfriend's birthday when we go up, so we're gonna celebrate that. And he kind of got himself a little birthday present this week and adopted a puppy. So
Aww.
I'm very tired today because I've been puppy training for the past couple days. But his name is Zeke. He's super cute, like completely adorable. German Shepherd and Collie mix, and he's a good addition to our little crew. Guinness, my dog, was not sure what to make of him at first. He was like, where is all this energy coming from? Like, take it down a notch, bro. And stay the fuck away from my ball. This is my ball. Which I kind of expected. Also, Guinness is my baby and was like, Mom, I'm your son. You need to give me all of your attention and not this little rat. But it's been good. So that was an exciting weekend and unexpected. We went in to buy toys for Guinness and came out with a puppy, which is kind of my MO. If anybody knows me, I take people
that's your
to PetSmart.
speciality.
Especially if I'm dating somebody, but also just other people. I take them to PetSmart and just, put a bug in their ear, throw the puppy dog eyes with the puppy dog eyes of the actual puppy.
Or when you text Sam and you're like, can I handle another dog? And she's always going to say yes. Always.
I'm gonna be like, everybody needs a dog.
Yes.
I don't know. It's not like, and I don't feel like it really takes that much convincing to anybody.
No.
It's just, I just like to go in there and see people be happy and find their new best friend and give a loving, needy animal a home forever. And it's just fills my heart with joy. So it's been a good weekend. It's going to be a good week, vacation week. So I'm pretty excited. And I'm just going to cap it off with Flitwick.
I will say, I am doing a big adult thing. And I'm cooking Thanksgiving dinner this year for our families.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
I know.
That's
I'm excited.
a lot.
It is a lot. Karn is pumped. So
I'm sure he is.
I have a lot of lists going.
So you're hosting at your place?
We're hosting, yeah. So
wow.
That will be awesome. And I'm excited.
That is a huge life move.
It is. I feel very grown.
You have leveled up in adulthood right now.
Fully leveled
hosting
up, yes.
Thanksgiving dinner.
Hosting Thanksgiving. My dog.
Honestly, this is what our Thanksgiving podcast should be about. It's just like, all right, let's make the list. What do we need to do for Thanksgiving at Emily's house?
I'll just explain to you everything going into it. Yeah, but other than that, all my updates is like our dog is officially crate trained. Shout out to Stanley. He's a good little guy. And he outgrew his harness.
Oh.
But
they grow up so fast.
We could literally talk about our dogs, I feel like, all night.
Or our lives.
But
okay.
Let's move on to Flitwick. My head of house, Professor Phileas Flitwick, was born the 17th of October, 1958. He is part goblin, part human wizard, who attended Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry and was sorted into Ravenclaw House, being an intellectual young man and a model student. Sometime after his graduation, Flitwick returned to Hogwarts and became the Charms Master and eventually the head of Ravenclaw House.
And during the First and Second Wizarding Wars, Flitwick opposed Lord Voldemort. And in 1995, he also opposed Dolores Umbridge, the High Inquisitor of Hogwarts and the highest bitch on the totem pole. And in 1997, he fought at the Battle of the Astronomy Tower whenever the Death Eaters came in. Big shout out to Draco Malfoy for allowing that to happen. And then he also that year attended the funeral of Dumbledore, which we know all the teachers did, and protected the students, or tried to protect the students as much as he could from the Carrows whenever Snape was headmaster and the Carrows stepped in at the school. And then in 1998, May 2nd, he was part of the Battle of Hogwarts and defeated many a Death Eater. And then, of course, we know that he survived the war and probably continued to teach charms at Hogwarts to future generations of lucky little students.
Yes. So, our last big professor character profile that I can think of is our Magpie, our Professor McGonagall one. And there was a lot of information about her, but Flitwick, we get a lot less. We know he was born somewhere in the British Isles, which to me is like a huge cop-out because the UK is huge. Into a wizarding family with a distant descent of goblins, which accounted for his short stature. He was prejudged and foredoomed from an early age because of his ancestral connection to a different breed of being that was both regarded and treated as second-class citizens by much of the wizarding community.
You know, I also feel like that's a cop-out because I feel like just the fact that he was descended by goblins could open up a bunch of, like, other canon and lore surrounding, like, goblins in the Harry Potter universe. You know, like, in the wizarding world, we could talk more about goblins if we knew more about their origin and, like, instead of just saying somewhere in the British Isles, like, where the fuck did goblins originate from? And, like, clearly there's some ancestry tracking and tracing that we could do with that. And I don't know, I just feel like it could be uncovered a little bit more. I also feel like, you know, maybe his character was thrown in and was half goblin, half wizard to sort of highlight some issues in society with people who look different or from different lineages not being taken seriously or having a preconceived notion of who they are, or you look at them because they catch your attention and they're different, but that doesn't mean that you need to treat them any differently, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think a good parallel for him would be Hagrid, right? It's like the opposite end of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I would assume that's maybe why we don't get as much backstory on him as we do on Hagrid. But I honestly think it's like a pretty big letdown. Like, he is a dueling champion. He was a great student at Hogwarts, very scholarly, became, you know, a great professor and fought in both wars. And yeah, I mean, I just, you know, there's so much on McGonagall, right? Which, valid, there should be. And I think it would have been, like, equally easy to kind of make up a backstory for him, too.
Yeah. I mean, we get some stuff, like, we got some stuff about, like, when it was time for him to be sorted during the sorting ceremony. The hat actually wavered back and forth between putting him in Ravenclaw and Gryffindor, which I think is really cute because that's the opposite of McGonagall. Yep. And they both took a while to be placed in their respective houses. So I think that just, like, shows how similar they are in their demeanor and their style. And then at some point, he asked the Grey Lady about the whereabouts of Rowena Ravenclaw's diadem, which was rumored to grant the wearer wisdom, obviously, and she denied revealing that information. And to his unknowing, she had already revealed it to Tom Riddle.
We also learned that he, you know, scored really high in his newts. And after graduating from Hogwarts, he became a badass. He was a master duelist and earned the title of dueling champion at some point. He had an entire shelf of trophies to prove that. And it was also likely that he studied further into magic, becoming an accomplished wizard, masterful in spells, we know, charms, and defensive magic, and even possibly earning the title of doctor and becoming a full-fledged educated sorcerer before even beginning his teaching career back at Hogwarts.
He literally went to the little place where Dr. Strange went and learned how to become a doctor of sorcery, which is great. I love that. But also, just, like, an interesting thought is he was this master duelist and, like, dueling champion. Why the fuck did he not teach defense against the dark arts?
Yeah.
I feel like that position was, like, so hard to find someone to fill when, like, he easily could have filled it, but instead was like, nah, I like dueling. Like, it's something that I, like, excel at and win championships in, but I'm gonna stick to charms. I'm pretty good at those too. I feel like there's gotta be something deeper under the surface of, like, why he doesn't want to duel or do defense against the dark arts. Like, he's settling with charms, you know? And I'm like, maybe that's almost like a Dumbledore move. Dumbledore could have taught defense against the dark arts and would have been a badass at it, and everybody would have been exceptional at defense against the dark arts, but instead chose transfiguration because I feel like he knew or was scared that he'd be too tempted by the dark arts to teach defense against the dark arts. So maybe somewhere deep inside Flitwick, there was some internal struggle of why he didn't want to teach defense against the dark arts. And we don't get that.
Yeah, I think maybe he was just like, I think I've dueled enough for one lifetime. And then he was in the First War, right? In the middle of his teaching career. And then he was just like, I want to chill. Like I just want to coast.
I just like making shit fly, you know?
Yeah. Wingardium Leviosa. You know, that's what I want to do. So
I want to Levios my feet up and just sit back and watch these kids make complete idiots of themselves. So, you know, I mean, I respect it. It's almost like Hogwarts was retirement for him. It was just like taking it easy afterwards, which is cool. Like, I'm glad that he was there and that they got that. But other than that, I mean, we know what we see of him while Harry is at school. Sometimes he was regarded as more laid back than some of the other teachers. As I was saying, it kind of seems like this was his retirement and he just kind of chilled. But he always seemed like fun and playful, and he always seemed very caring and nice, and like he would do the right thing. And obviously you can tell that he is a very intelligent person just from looking at him, just from the way he speaks. He got along really well with his colleagues. He encouraged students even if they were mischief makers like Fred and George. And I think he was like overall a really well-liked and well-respected guy. He had a good sense of humor, and even students who weren't in Ravenclaw, I think, really admired him.
Yeah, and he was also like a super fair person. He was known for his rich sense of humor, and he was fair across the board. He didn't really favor his students over the other students, which I think is very important because, you know, obviously we see Snape doing that, right? Obviously we see, you know, Slughorn in some ways doing that. We see McGonagall in some ways kind of doing that too. Like, you can tell she just does have a soft spot for Gryffindors, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the truth. But with Flitwick, like, we kind of see, you know, there's just fairness across the board. And a lot of that I think could be accredited to, like, the judgment he faced and his experiences. And he didn't want to discriminate against those with different backgrounds, and was inclined to allow people the benefit of the doubt and to just be themselves, which I think is a very great and special thing to have in a teacher. He also encouraged his students to experiment with their own magic and didn't really give out detentions or slack work. Instead, he preferred to give them homework that was actually beneficial. And if they were, you know, failing their course, he'd give them some additional work to catch up. So, like I said, I really think that he was such a great teacher because of this. Like, you know, he didn't really have any prejudices at all and really just wanted to help his students succeed.
Yeah.
Which, what more could you ask for?
Honestly, he's just, like, genuinely a good egg. Like, he's just genuinely a nice guy. I think, like, that's the number one thing that you need to have in an educator, for sure, is just somebody who is, to their core, just a delight to be around, but also somebody who's very skillful and is a good teacher. But he embodied all of those things, and I think because of his natural disposition, he genuinely seemed to love teaching, and he loved his job. He was so excited about teaching Harry Potter that he actually squeaked when he read his name on the register his first day. And then he went on to teach Harry's class the summoning charm that enabled Harry to win the first of his Triwizard Tournament tasks. And he also taught other students how to turn vinegar into wine, and the cheering charm, which exists for the sole purpose of just making people happy. He taught the banishing charm, and even though Neville misfired and flung Flitwick across the room, Flitwick took it all with his customary patience and good grace.
Yeah. He also loved the holidays and loved to just make Hogwarts a lovely place in general. He had a very cheerful demeanor and was very creative, as is a, you know, characteristic or attribute of a Ravenclaw. At Christmas, he was absolutely delighted in making decorations and decorating the Great Hall, and even enlisted live fairies to take part in the festive fun, which is extremely cool. And I wish that was in the films so we could see that.
I know.
He also didn't mind letting his students play some like cheeky games during his lesson before the Yule Ball. In fact, no matter what his students were up to, he always had an appreciation for great skill. And yeah, I mean, I think one of my favorite things that we see is when we're watching the first movie, and we see him decorating with Hagrid. Because, again, there's that mirror of him and Hagrid and just their love for making Hogwarts a beautiful and welcoming place.
Yeah, I'd never thought about that before, but that's like an excellent observation. And they probably, get along really well with each other and have a soft spot for each other as well, not only for Hogwarts and for the world that they live in at Hogwarts and existing together and being accepted and treated as equals, but also just for each other. But I love that he decorates, and I love how festive he is, but I also my favorite thing about him is that he's the choir director of Hogwarts. He definitely has choir teacher vibes. Just someone who's super nice.
Teacher vibe.
Flitwick is I love it. I have such fond memories of all of my choir directors growing up, and I feel like I would love him as a choir director, and he would really care about it. And it's just kind of a shame that he didn't have any solos or anything. We didn't get to see his vocal cords shine in any of the books or films, but we know that it's there. He has to have that musical ability or he wouldn't be the director. And I wonder if this position existed before him, or if he came into Hogwarts and he's like, what would make this place even better? Fucking choir practice. It'd be amazing. So I love that about him. But also, he's so great and he's so nice, and we talk about that, but he is not a pushover. He actually is a badass, clearly. Yeah, he was dueling champion. But also, when it came to defending his students and defending Hogwarts, whenever Umbridge was there and took over as headmistress, he continued to teach, obviously, at his standard, and because he was a teacher and an educator above all else. But when Fred and George set off fireworks in his classroom, he just let Umbridge waste her time and try to extinguish them, even though he could do it himself. And when the final battle with the Death Eaters approached, Flitwick used his talents to cast a series of protective spells around Hogwarts, which thank God he did, because that saved them for a while. Whenever Sirius Black escaped, he secured the premises by teaching the oak front doors to recognize a picture of the Azkaban escapee. What? How do you teach a door to recognize a picture? I can barely teach a puppy how to sit 2 days in. So that's crazy.
Yeah, I think, too, just thinking about Fred and George and their fireworks, I think the perfect image of him is in the films when we see them fly off and he does that little yes thing. Yeah. Because he just appreciates, that's it really advanced, awesome magic. And he's proud of his students, even though they're, causing havoc. And I just think he appreciates, talent and recognizes talent for what it is. And while he's not a pushover, he also, would want his students to succeed no matter what that looks like. So, whether it be being like Fred and George and eventually running a joke shop and being really good at advanced joke magic, or being an Auror, which I think a lot of the teachers really push for that. And it's kind of nice that he kind of sees the magic for what it is and appreciates all forms.
Yeah. And I also feel yes, it was about the magic and about the achievement that they had attained from their spell casting and whatnot, but I also feel he just really wanted...
Yeah, it was also about them sticking it to Umbridge.
Yeah,
for sure.
He was someone, thank God they put her in her place. Because he was all aboard that train. He was not having Umbridge, along with most of the Hogwarts teachers. Yeah. But all right, let's switch gears a bit and talk about the elephant in the room, which is that he definitely got some Botox or some shit. He taught his face how to look way different between movies 2 and 3.
Yeah,
or whatever it was.
We've talked about this before. When we first meet Professor Flitwick. He is this, like, very small wizard who is fully gray and has a huge, impressive, like, mustache beard situation going on and very long hair. Honestly, he looks like a tiny Santa Claus. I'm just gonna be that's what he looks like.
He looks like the little Santa Clauses that my grandma puts on her trees.
Yeah.
Her Christmas trees.
That's what he looks like for the first 2 films. And then when Alfonso takes over for Prisoner of Azkaban, it's just a radical shift. He no longer wears these, like, extravagant robes. He's in a more, tux-like situation. And he still has an impressive mustache, but he has brown hair now. And he looks significantly younger.
Much, much younger.
He also, like, kind of copied Harry's glasses a bit, So...
I mean, it's just, like... I get why Dumbledore had to change, obviously, because the actor died, and there were some other, like, casting choices made that were different, but none for any, like... I would consider Flitwick as not, like, an A-level character, but someone that I'm gonna notice if he's gonna change. A, because of who he is. B, because of who he is size-wise. Like, it's someone it's a noticeable change. Like, I'm just gonna, like... I remembered what he looked like in the first movie and first 2 movies, and... I now know that he looks way different in this one.
Yeah. I will say his original adaptation was the most accurate. Like, it was the most faithful to how he's described in the book. It is interesting that they chose to change his appearance that much. I honestly think it's because in the first 2 films, he's in the Wingardium Leviosa scene, and then after that, he's just kind of background. Like, he doesn't play a huge role. And then we do see him more starting in Prisoner of Azkaban and then throughout the series. So I really think
they just thought that no one would really care that much?
I think it was more of an appeal thing. I really do. And I think that's a shame because I think he looked phenomenal in the first 2. And, if that's how he's described in the book, I think that should be how it is. But I don't know. I think, to me, this is, like, one of the biggest mysteries of the films, is, A, why did they decide to give Flitwick this huge makeover? Like, and it's not just, like, subtle. Like
no. He looks impressive. Like a completely different person.
Correct. So, yeah, I don't know. That's one question that I guess was just unanswered until we can ask it to the correct people.
When our time comes. Yeah, I don't know. I mean... I just couldn't let this episode go without talking about that because I feel like it's a disservice because we all know it's there. We've all seen it and recognize it. And, whether it was a casting choice or just somewhere down the line, he just got that really expensive, really good treatment on his skin and his hair. I can't blame him. If I had the money to do it and I wanted it, I would do it too.
Yeah. I also think it's interesting, though, that... Flitwick has goblin ancestry, and then the actor that plays Flitwick also plays Griphook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if it's interesting to anyone else, but to me, it is.
I mean, it's interesting, but it's also, like, easy from a casting standpoint.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Have him do that, since he's already there, you're already paying him. And I don't see why they wouldn't do it, because Griphook is the, like, most... known goblin that we see that obviously has screen time.
Yeah.
So
also Griphook got a huge makeover too between the first and the last. So I don't know. Maybe this actor was just like, I'm not looking like that anymore.
Maybe he was like, I really love sitting in the makeup chair, so you just like surprise me. I don't know.
Surprise me. What's such a
dealer's choice. Whatever you want me to look like today. That's what we're going with.
Oh shit.
I cannot. Okay.
Oh god.
We love him though. We love him.
We love him, and like I said, he's my head of house, and I could not be more proud to have him as my head of house. So, yeah, I mean, that was quick. But, like we said, there's not a whole hell of a lot on Flitwick, unfortunately. I would like to imagine that because in All the Young Dudes, it's mentioned that he's teaching. So I would like to imagine that he has taught, like, several generations of the same families, and I think that that's cool, too. Because then he has a lasting influence on the wizarding world.
Yeah, I love that he shares that, you know, with Dumbledore and McGonagall and Slughorn. All of them are in All the Young Dudes, and we already kind of knew that they were all, you know, there whenever the Marauders and Lily and Snape were in school, but it's cool to see it again through that lens, and to think that, you know, I love my teachers who... not that I have kids, but, like, I love the teachers who have been there, and I guess I'm thinking more like my mom is a teacher, so, of course I love my mom, but the fact that, like, she has seen generations of students, like, she taught students in 5th grade, and then before she retired, she had a lot of their kids in 5th grade, and I just think that's really cool, not only for her, but for a parent, like, having your kids have the same teacher as you and being like, oh, I love them as my teacher. It's just like, I don't know, it's just like a warm and fuzzy feeling for everybody. As long as you liked your teacher, I guess. Yeah. Which everybody liked Flitwick, so
yeah,
it's good.
I think that's a special thing, and I don't think that happens very often. You know, either because people relocate, or, you know, teachers retire, or change grades, or change schools. So, yeah, I really think that that's a special thing, and it's something that maybe Harry doesn't even realize, but he can have that connection to his parents while he's in the classroom with Flitwick, which is really special.
Of course Harry doesn't realize that he's a fucking idiot.
Of course not. I'm sure Hermione probably has told him, and he's like, I don't even remember my name.
Oh, Hermione. And she's like, emotional range of a teaspoon. God, boys. But
yeah. Alrighty. Well, next week we are doing our annual Thanksgiving episode inspired by you guys. We asked for some suggestions on Instagram, and you guys delivered, and we are excited to tackle that. I think in preparation, though, you should go back and you should listen to last year's Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah.
Because that's still one of my favorites to this day. And
I'm still waiting for our merch that says fuck Voldemort and fuck green beans.
You know, maybe I'll just design a shirt for Thanksgiving that says that.
Maybe we just have a special little merch drop for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Based off of our previous episode last year, which some of you suggested that we do this for this year. So encourage you to go back to our Thanksgiving episode last year. I don't have it in front of me, but maybe we can link to it at some point this week, where we basically assigned characters to Thanksgiving foods. And it was a whole lot of fun.
It was very fun. And this year will be very fun too. But I love the Thanksgiving episodes because I feel like they are special to us, since our characters don't celebrate Thanksgiving, since it's an American holiday.
Of course it's an American holiday. It's all about the food.
It's all about food, yeah.
We love it.
Yes. But until then, you can find us at HP Half Drunk on Instagram and Twitter, and hphalfdrunk.com, where you can find drinks of the week, old episodes, and a link to our merch.
Yep, and you can still join our Facebook group if you're looking for us on Facebook. And you can listen to the episode anywhere you get your podcasts. Be sure, if you're listening on an Apple Podcast, to subscribe, give us a 5-star, leave us a review. Also, keep DMing us on Instagram or however you would like to. In email fashion, we respond there a little less fast, but we do respond. So feel free to reach out.
Yes. And have a great week.
Cheers.